Starting way back in 2014 when OnePlus started out, its aim was to challenge the status quo by launching a phone with flagship grade specifications at a quarter the price point of what most other brands were charging. OnePlus really made a mark for itself in the market. Add to the fact that they were partnering with Cyanogen, which was the darling of the modding community, the ROM hacking community. The OnePlus really hit it off. Today, the company is about to launch the OnePlus 5, but let's take a quick look at how the design has evolved over the years from the OnePlus One all the way till the OnePlus 5. Starting off with the OnePlus One, the phone had cutting-edge specifications for its time, but if you look at the design today, it really symbolizes a company that is starting off with making smartphones. The design wasn't anything special, but they did add in their own touch with the sandstone finish back panel. That is something that really stands out even today. Even today, the company is selling back covers for pretty much all the phones in their lineup with the sandstone finish, because this is something that's really resounded well with the fans. Talking about specifications, this one had a Snapdragon 801 processor, it had 3GB of RAM on board, and both of these specifications at a price point which was between $250 to $300 was something that was absolutely unheard of. Fast forward to 2015 and OnePlus launched the OnePlus 2. Now this is where the company's design sensibilities really started to come on its own. Despite the fact that OnePlus really worked on the design for this phone, the front still remained very boxy, the edges were sharp to hold, and it was still not really the most ergonomic device around. Another feature that changed with the OnePlus 2 was that it gained the alert slider that we now take for granted on OnePlus phones. This was something that was not present on the OnePlus One. Now when it comes to design, this was not exactly the most ergonomically placed slider. It was also really hard to move, and that's something that we quite take for granted today, but given that this is the first iteration of the design, it was a very interesting feature to have for sure, but not very well placed. Coming to the specifications, the OnePlus 2 was powered by a Snapdragon 810. It had 3GB or 4GB of RAM on board depending on the variant that you choose. And truly, it was offering flagship grade specs for a great price for its time. Now we know that the focus of this video is the OnePlus 5 and how its design came about and how it started off with the OnePlus One and it basically evolved to reach the OnePlus 5. But there was something that came between the OnePlus 2 and OnePlus 3 that really changed the perception for OnePlus in the market. And that was the OnePlus X. Now the OnePlus X was considered to be an iPhone 4 or a 4S clone by many people, and that's not hard to believe if you look at it at first glance. It has the similar black front and a black back, and it really fades away when you turn off the screen. There's also the aluminum band running around, but there were many smaller changes that had been done by OnePlus that really made this phone stand apart. Now if you look at the aluminum casing around the OnePlus X, you'll notice that it did have chamfered edges on both sides, but that was something that we saw with the OnePlus 2 as well. But what changed was that there were these concentric ridges running around the aluminum casing on the side, and they really enhanced the grip of the phone. It felt great to hold. It was a very unique design for its time. Additionally, the back panel was also available in a ceramic variant. Now this was a relatively limited edition of the device, the OnePlus X, which came with the ceramic back panel. Once again, something that we still haven't seen in mainstream phones, something that's remained rather exclusive or limited edition. Now in 2016, OnePlus decided to launch two phones, the OnePlus 3 and the OnePlus 3T. Well, it is fair to say that the OnePlus 3T eventually replaced the OnePlus 3, and the design remained the same between both of them, which is why we're tackling both the phones simultaneously. But let's take a look at what the specifications and how they changed between the two of them. The OnePlus 3 had a Snapdragon 820, whereas the OnePlus 3T gained the Snapdragon 821 processor. The RAM remained the same between them at 6GB, but the camera changed on the front as well. Now the OnePlus 3 shipped with an 8-megapixel front-facing camera, while the OnePlus 3T gained a 16-megapixel front-facing camera. So while the core specs changed and slightly improved between the OnePlus 3 and the OnePlus 3T, one aspect that really changed, and it is quite creditable to OnePlus how they managed to do, is that within the same shell, they managed to improve the battery capacity from 3000 mAh to 3400 mAh, and this drastically improved the end experience for customers. Now in terms of design, the OnePlus 3 and the OnePlus 3T both were a huge improvement over what we'd seen with the OnePlus and the OnePlus 2. Gone was the boxy design. The front was a lot more organic, so to speak. The front had a lot of curved edges, and this continued over to the back. The metal felt a lot better. And no longer did you have the replaceable shell panels or the sandstone finish. This was a pure aluminium device, but you could still get back panels that you could attach, slap on with the sandstone finish or some of the other variants as well. The antenna lines were a lot more pronounced on the OnePlus 3, and the camera still stood out, but it had, once again, there were slightly refinements to the design. It no longer looked like a prototype or something that was being designed by a company that had just started out. And this continued with the OnePlus 3T as well. The OnePlus 3T, now we've got the silver variant with us, but this is where the black edition also got launched. This was supposed to be a limited edition of the phone, but eventually OnePlus decided to make this a mainstream launch, and the OnePlus 3T Black Edition was available widely, and that was something that was really appreciated by the customers. Which brings us to the OnePlus 5. Now the OnePlus 5 really seems like the culmination of all the design sensibilities that the company has been working towards, starting with the OnePlus 2, which sort of lost the harsh edges around the front and the back, and it gained this rather more pronounced back curve at the back. And coming on to the OnePlus 3, which really had curved edges, the OnePlus 5 seems like a very organic phone. The curves on both the front and the back fit really well in the hand. This is a very ergonomically designed phone. Even the buttons are very easy to reach out to and have the perfect amount of give that you would expect from a modern flagship. The OnePlus 5 really is a device that could stand its own against the likes of the Samsung Galaxy S8, the LG G6, or even the iPhones of the world. In fact, it has been said that from certain angles, the OnePlus 5 can resemble the iPhone 7 Plus. Now coming to the design differences between the OnePlus 3T and the OnePlus 5, perhaps the most pronounced difference is going to be the antenna lines at the back. On the OnePlus 3T, these were very visible, and this is something that OnePlus has worked on the OnePlus 5. The antenna lines have been moved all the way along to the top edge and the bottom edge, and in some of the darker colorways, these can be almost invisible, and that's something that really adds to the design appeal. The phone looks so much cleaner compared to the OnePlus 3T. Now despite the fact that the OnePlus 5 has a dual camera module, it is still the thinnest OnePlus ever. And that's saying something, since the OnePlus 3T was definitely not a chubby device at all. The camera module, which was placed towards the center on the OnePlus 3 and 3T, has now been moved over to the top corner, and this island now houses two different camera modules. One is the 16 megapixel main camera, and this is paired with the 20 megapixel telephoto lens. Now you might be nitpicking here, but there is one more feature that has changed between the two phones, and we're not quite sure if for the better. The alert slider and the volume toggles on the OnePlus 3 and the 3T were almost perfectly placed for easily reaching out and to be able to easily press them down. On the OnePlus 5, however, the notification or the alert slider has been moved slightly further up, and the volume rocker is slightly further down. What this means is that it's no longer that easy to reach out to the volume button. You have to move your finger further down to be able to press this easily. But that really is nitpicking, isn't it? So those were some of the design changes that we've seen across the generations of the OnePlus series of phones. In terms of specifications, the OnePlus 5 is powered by a Snapdragon 835. It has 6GB and 8GB of RAM depending on the variant that you opt for, 64GB storage or 128GB. And that's about it. Like in terms of battery life, you get somewhat similar to the OnePlus 3T. You do lose about 100 milliamperes. This one has a 3300 mAh battery, but that's not too much of a loss, given that the design has slimmed down a little further, and that's something that a lot of users seem to be wanting. So that was a quick video about the design of the OnePlus 5 and all the phones that came before it. This was Roop Bhutani from FoneArena.com. Thanks for watching.